Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today, another Shiro, founder, co-founder of Muslim Women Organization, a 15-year journey, transversing through COVID, landing on an impactful program called Wise Women. Yes, a Shiro who hasn't given up on her education. Hear more right here, right now. Sadaf Saied, co-founder, Muslim Women's Organization. Assalamu alaikum, Sadaf Saied. Thank you for being on the show today.
Wa alaikum assalam. I appreciate the invitation.
Muslim Women Organization. Love it. Just amazing. You know, as a dad with 4 daughters, rising Shiros, mashallah, I always feel humbled and honored. And also a brother to 5 sisters. And a son to an amazing mom, Shiro. I feel humbled and honored when I'm with Shiros like yourself. Thank you for being with us today. For all the Shiros out there right now who are thinking about starting an organization, you know, and want to know how to get started, I was hoping you would share your story. What was that moment that you saw something happening out there and you're like, you know what? I need to start an organization. Like, tell us, what was the founding Shiro journey?
Well, first of all, it wasn't just me. And it was your sister was involved in that whole thing. Farhana was there. We were all part of a halaka.
What's crazy is I didn't even know that, by the way. I did not know Farhana is a co-founder.
Farhana is a co-founder. There's a bunch of us that are co-founders. Asma, Farhana, Hajra. There were a bunch of us that we were part of this halaka. So we were kind of always meeting. And we were meeting and we were like all involved in MSA before. We knew each other from Muslim Youth of North America, MSA, all the stuff. And now we were like moms and we were out of college, but didn't really find a space in the masjid to lead.
Yeah.
Because the masjids were already being led and they're not necessarily opening their doors to their board of directors for you to be a president of a board of a masjid, right? In our local community. But we all had that leadership experience and we were doing these halakas. Farhana was doing them and we would always meet and we're like, you know what? We can be doing so much more. Like we have the skill set, we have the passion, and we just decided let's just meet and figure out who wants to be part of this. And there were a good 25, 30 women that showed up in that first meeting. And we decided to just, you know, think about what could an organization look like?
Yeah.
You know, what could we be doing? And because a few of us did have experience in organizational work and MSAs and things, we understood what bylaws look like. What does an election of officers look like? What are officer responsibilities? So we researched, we got everything together and we just, you know, jumped right in. And it's been around 15 years, almost exactly 15 years ago that we did that.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I love this soundbite you gave. You know, first of all, you painted an amazing picture in how MINA, MSA, youth work, college work sort of gave that foundational, you know, groundwork to know how to organize and how to lead. And then second, you know, you touched upon how masjids were being led already, but not creating space for other leaders. And then that is what drove this sort of, you know, opportunity, this third space or third place that where you and 25 total Shiros got together and started Muslim Women Organization. And when you got together, what was the problem you were saying we're going to solve? Like, how did that happen?
The problem honestly was there were no spaces for Muslim women to really achieve this meaningful purpose and impact that they wanted. And we grew up having a purpose beyond the home, because in our faith, there's fard kifaya, right? Like you have to fulfill these obligations.
Yeah.
And for women, those opportunities were not present in our community, opportunities where we could be those change makers and fulfill this deeper need that we had to do more and make a difference. And that was really the problem, that women weren't being able to make that difference that they wanted to make. Those opportunities were not there.
Yeah. And so fast forward now, 15 years later, what's happening at Muslim Women Organization? What's going on? What are we doing? What problem in the world are we solving? What's happening?
Yeah, and we've changed and grown, because 15 years is a long time, right?
Yes,
And we started
mashallah.
off just wanting, let's do stuff,
Yeah.
and it was just all kinds of stuff. We did like a Ramadan kids camp, and we did a big picnic, and we would do, care packages, service projects, all the things. So we were doing a lot, and it was all about, let's just have service, community service. But then we realized, you know what? Why do women need all of this help? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And how are we going to maybe address the problem?
Yeah.
And because we had a presence on Facebook, we had a website, we were getting people calling us and contact page, messages saying, I need help. I don't know what to do. I'm being abused, or whatever it is. These things were happening. And then we thought, well, there are organizations in our community like Ignore Relief and Muslim Social Services that were doing this work. Shahidanti through, at that time it was Muslim Ladies Association. Like, these things were happening in our community, but we're like, wait a minute, how can we stop them from happening? As women who understand the problem and understand women's needs, maybe that should be part of what we do.
Yeah.
We're not just here to do really feel good, fun community service. There's a place for that, but there's so many organizations doing that already. Nobody is doing the problem solving within our community for these things. So that's what we really shifted in around 2016 to 18. We were really, doing a bit of soul searching as an organization. And then, we had our organization members like Rasha Mubarak. She was she was a staff member at like Care Florida or Engage. So she understood that nonprofit work is actually a career.
Yeah.
That we should be hiring people as an organization. It's not just about volunteers. Women need to be paid and valued for their efforts. So then in 2018 is when we started applying for grants, started hiring people. And I was like a paid staff member. We hired Amani, who is our chaplain, our Hakima. So we really just changed the way we did things, and we became a little bit more professionalized in that way. And we're still struggling, and we're still growing because a big fat pandemic hit, and we're trying to figure out, okay, we want these funds. How are we going to get these funds? And you kind of need capacity to build capacity. And how do you this, because that's what you do every single day. So that's where we're at now, just growing as an organization, hiring more people. We're about to hire a couple more. So we look very different than we did before. Professionally, we are much more of a nonprofit organization, as in the sector as they are, instead of instead of a women's community service, organization. We've changed a little bit.
Thank you for being vulnerable and being honest and sort of sharing and painting a picture of that journey, because I feel like 95% of Muslim nonprofits have a budget of less than $250,000 and have 2 or fewer employees, and these 95% are our audience. They're out there listening right now, and they're somewhere on that same journey that you shared. That, we got together because we saw a need, or we had a problem, and we, worked on scheduling projects and activities, but then soon realized, and oftentimes it takes, somebody on your board, like, or somebody in your organization, like Rasha Mubarak, you mentioned the story, who said, wait a minute, guys, there's an approach here, a professional approach that's gonna get us the competencies and capacities to do this in a better, more impactful way. And thank you for sharing how you started that journey. As you think about Muslim Women's Organization today, what would be the one sort of flagship program or project that is sort of an outcome of this journey? Because you started off by saying we did these different things, and then we went through this process where now we knew we wanted to professionalize. So what is that one thing that you focused on as your flagship project or program?
Yeah, and I think it's so different now than it was. Like if you would have asked me 8, 9 years ago, I would have said care packages, right?
Yeah.
The whole community knows about care packages. It's just care is our program. And your sister Mariam, she led that program. It's such a meaningful program to so many people in our community. That's always been our thing. But I think now, if you ask me, the most impactful and innovative program that we have is our Hakima program.
MashaAllah.
So Hakima, in Arabic, it means wise woman,
Mm.
right? Hakima is a wise woman. And we realized when we saw that women are going through really hard things, they're being abused, but not only just being abused, they're experiencing a lot of different challenges. And spiritually, they kind of just have the imam to go to.
Yeah.
Right? In a masjid, you walk in, who's the spiritual leader? It's the imam. Who's the person you're going to go to for help? It's the imam. But the imams have a lot on their plates in our community.
Yeah.
They do not necessarily have domestic violence advocacy training. They don't understand how to accept disclosures of assault, or be an emotional support provider to a woman who's going through a hard time. They don't understand always. They are very knowledgeable, but not necessarily in that. And we thought, women are inherently caregivers. Even when they're professionals, they're caregivers. And how can we train women to be caregivers to women in distress so that they can listen, they can provide resources, and they can help get women out of the situation that they're in into a better place, and provide this alternative avenue of support. So what we did in the very beginning, we started this in 2020, and we identified who are the women in the institutions that exist right now that are answering the phones, that are running the halakas, that are, leading in some way that other women go to them for help. How can we identify those women? And we started with our first pilot program, like our cohort was maybe 8 women. They were from different masajid, different races, different languages. And we're like, let's get them together and talk about, these are emotions. These are the emotions that people are going to come to you with. This is how you respond to that emotion. We provided some, training on sexual assault response and domestic violence. What does it look? All of that. And we've been doing that now for 5 years.
MashaAllah.
And we've trained over 30, 40 women. And this training is not just one session.
Yeah.
It is a semester style training. It's a 16-week unit per unit. Once a week you meet. And now we have in that program women that from around the country that are participating and getting these skills that they're not able to get other places. And we have case studies. Hey, if a woman comes to you with this, how would you respond? And we talk through it and we give each other advice. So I think that program is really special, and it's being funded through organizations like Islamic Relief has funded that. We've gotten a grant. The city of Orlando is funding that.
Wow.
So I think it's just a way for us as Muslim women to really take control of how we're helping and kind of be those caregivers that we were meant to be. And I think that's, we're actually recruiting a whole unit right now. And then every semester we'll have a different unit.
I love it. So this Hakima program, Wise Woman program, and you're producing or developing capacity of wise women to help make the world a better place. And I think that's a powerful journey and story, from 25 who got together 15 something years ago to having these impactful projects and programs, to adapting to the changing needs post-COVID and realizing that there was a time when there was no space for women leaders in the masjid. Imagine now, 15 years later, you're developing women leaders who have the tools and the skills that, women need. That is the gap that imams have. I think that's powerful, and that's an amazing story. And you're also finding diversified funding ways to get that. Your story inspiring for all the heroes and sheroes out there who are thinking about or on the process of their journey. Also, capacity building for yourself. Sadaf, tell us, you're in the middle of a PhD program at the Lilly School of Philanthropy. How's that going so far, and what made you choose that?
Amazing. It's been amazing. One thing I wanted to add, in addition to the Hakima program, we actually have our own space.
Okay.
We call it our MWO hub.
MashaAllah.
And we had realized, we can't have some of the conversations we want to have at Panera Bread or at the masjid. We need our own place.
That's awesome.
So we've been doing that. I just wanted to add that, and we're growing, alhamdulillah. So for me, in 2020, when the world shut down, there was this one program that popped up. It was this Zakat Foundation Institute started their fellowship in Muslim philanthropy and humanitarian studies at IU, at Indiana University, at the Lilly School. And I just like, I had been to the Muslim Philanthropy Initiative, has those local trainings that they do, fundraising trainings.
Yeah.
And me, my board president, had gone, I think in 2017, 18, I don't remember, 2018. And then I was on the list. So they were just kind of sending this message, hey, there's this new thing. I was like, okay, I have nothing to do. Let me just sign up for that. So I signed up for that. And when I signed up for it, it's like, oh, you're accepted into this program, but now you have to apply to Indiana University and actually get into their graduate school. And I was like, wait, what? Because I had graduated from undergrad 25 years before. You know, I had not done any post-undergrad education, anything. So then I was like, okay, I guess as long as I don't have to take a GRE, I'll do it. So then I applied, I got in. So I did the graduate certificate, which I loved, you know, because I felt a little bit of imposter syndrome because I'm a little local organization girl, like with the people from Islamic Relief. And, you know, I was like Ahmed Shahata in that program. Anwar Khan was in that program. People from all the big nonprofits are in there, and little me. But I learned so much just about the sector and about what does a Muslim organization need, look like? What does Muslim philanthropy look like? What is Zakat, kind of how is it applicable to our work and all of our history, really? Yeah. And it was so inspiring. And then I did that 1 year. And I was like, wait a minute. If I do one more year, I get my master's. I'm already in. And Zakat Foundation Institute was giving scholarships to go ahead and do your master's if you got into the fellowship. So I did that. And then as soon as I finished that, there was this thing like, hey, we started like this philanthropic leadership, like a doctorate in philanthropic leadership. I was like, ooh, I'm like now hooked, right, to learning. And I'm like, I can apply every single thing that I'm learning to my work. So when that came up, I was like, let me apply. What the heck? I'm going to just apply, you know. And I applied and I got in. And it was like 20 people from around the world that got into this thing, you know. And I was one of them. And alhamdulillah, like I am just like blown away by all of the research and all of the things that I can bring into my own community. And for me, for my doctorate, what I'm focusing on is how do we establish a Zakat management system for our local community here in Central Florida? Because it's missing. You know, people give to their masjid or they give to Islamic Relief or they send it back to their country, right? What does a system look like here locally that funds individuals and nonprofits that are doing work in all of those 8 areas, right? So I think that's something that I'm really digging deep into. And hopefully at the end of this in 2027, I'll have a finished product, right? Amazing. This is what we need to do as a community. Come on, Tayyab, I need your help. Let's do it.
You got it. No, Sadaf, Jazakumullah khairan. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you. Sadaf Saied, co-founder of Muslim Women Organization, also Shiro, and doctorate candidate. Can't wait. Thank you for being on the show. And thank you for making the world a better place. We've got to get you back out soon, inshallah.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you so much for the invitation. I appreciate it.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.